We want to have more money. We want to be healthier. We want to be more successful. We want more freedom. We know that these habits that will benefit us and those around us are worth having, but creating and sticking to them is proving much more difficult than just watching a video about them on YouTube. So that's all for today. Thank you. I'll see you soon. Now that we've established my hilarious sense of humour, let's get on with the video. So for those of you who don't know who I am, or for those of you who do know who I am but don't recognise me because of this atrocious attempt at facial hair that I'm currently growing, my name's Bill Clark, and on this YouTube channel I'm going to talk about personal development, anything self-improvement, as well as how I intend to live a good life of freedom. So if that tickles your fancy, make sure to click the subscribe button down below and keep along with my journey. So as you can see from the title, today's video is about discipline. Now we'll start off with why discipline is actually important. When you have a goal in mind, in any area of life, whether it's business, health, relationships, it takes continuous and persistent effort in order to achieve that. And along the way, you're going to come up against speed bumps, setbacks, emotional breakdowns that will make you wonder whether the goal is actually worth it. And discipline is the driving force that helps you push through all of that, helps you stay focused on your goal and in the end achieve and surpass it. In this video I want to share with you an experience that I actually had last week regarding building my own discipline. And I also want to share with you what it takes to build your own discipline muscle and to exercise it for growth. And finally, I'll talk about some of the mistakes that I made that you should avoid when looking to build discipline in 2021. I don't think I've said the word discipline enough so far, but let's go into story time. So the plan that I came up with was to track my days for a week to see what I was actually doing during the day. So at the end of each day, I would journal down my whole schedule of what happened that day on an app that I use called Day One. I mean, if you don't use Day One, it's a great app. It's great for journaling, taking down notes, anything like this. There's no sponsorship, I just really like it. I've been using it for over a year now. So yeah, I'll leave a link down below if you want to check it out. But at the end of the day, on an evening, I would write down everything that I did, so my realistic day. And then also I would look through that, analyse it, and make a few key points for how I could improve the following day. If that doesn't really make sense, what I'll do now is I'll show you one of my days on the computer now. So this is Day One, the app that I just mentioned. You've got my daily schedule here, which I just put down as and when I was doing everything during the day. I'd make a note of it and update it on here. I've got my days here. There's only 5. I did 7, but they're in a different section. They're from back there. But for now, we'll just focus on this day, the 1st of December. So we can see that wake up at 6:30, which is when my alarm goes off, sleep at 9:45. So in terms of the timings of going to bed and waking up, it was good, it was what I wanted. And then the main aim for the day in terms of business was to create some webinar slides. If you look, you can see slides work here, slides work here, and slides work here. So they're the 3 blocks of time in which I dedicated the webinar slides to. So we've got 1 hour here, we've got another 45 minutes of it here, and another 25 minutes of it here. So in total, and then it was finished work. So in total, it was about 2 hours, 2 and a bit hours to finish off the main thing that I wanted to achieve that day. So in terms of that, it was really productive. Another thing that I wanted to do was to try and keep social media and YouTube to a minimum. So if we look through, you've got social, I'm referring to social media, and then you got it again here, YouTube here. I mean, only 3 times I noted it down. I mean, four, sorry, YouTube there. So it was all right. I mean, I probably should have been a bit more specific in writing how long I spent on each app, but I wasn't that concerned with the social media. I was more trying to get a full view of the day. So another aim that I was actually looking for was my steps. So on the iPhone, you can see how many steps you do per day. I aim for 10,000 a day, and if we scroll down, I only did 7.6k. That means that, well, what can I do to make tomorrow better? This is the purpose of doing this. So at the end of the day, once I have created this list and I can look back on it, I can make this list of how to improve upon it tomorrow. So hit 10k steps, and if we look on the second steps, 10.7, so I actually achieved that. The have set tasks that are for after dinner. I wanted to do this because I had a client call at 7:30 and 8 o'clock for nearly an hour was just on YouTube, so I tried to stay more productive by having set tasks for the evening. Have a look to see if I did that. So 7:30 I had some client work and then some affirmation work, so a little bit, yeah, that wasn't a good one, that was a bad night, but the reason for that was because I woke up at 8 a.m, so I missed my morning routine. My final part was the YouTube. Like, I know I mentioned YouTube and social media, but if we look back at the YouTube here for it's Bookfly and YouTube, that was about 30 minutes YouTube and then nearly an hour there. I thought there was some more, but so if YouTube is costing me, well, because I charge my time at £50 an hour, and if I spend like 1.5 to 2 hours a day, that's costing me £75 to £100 a day, and that's over £2,000 a month just to watch YouTube videos that I've probably even watched before, and I'm just sort of wasting time. So another thing that I included was not to watch as much YouTube, because it's costing me a lot of money in terms of hours wasted that I should be focusing on the business. So, I mean, I've got spends there, but that was just a budgeting thing. So that's basically what I did every day, noting down a realistic daily routine, then analysing it at the end of the day to find areas to improve upon. It's a method I've only tried it this once, but it's worked out really well, and I'd recommend it to anyone looking to become more disciplined in any areas of your life, really. So the reason I actually wanted to do this noting down my actual days was for a couple of reasons. Now, firstly, I wanted to see what my day actually consisted of. Now, it's easy to forget what you do during the day. Have you ever just been chilling out and then all of a sudden it's 4 p.m. and you just wonder where the whole day's gone? I felt like that was happening way too often, so I needed to make a change. Secondly, if I had a good idea of what my day actually looked like right now, and I also knew what I wanted my daily routine to look like, it would be much easier to fill the gap between the two if I knew the differences and the areas to improve upon. So now we've covered what I did to build my own discipline, I want to share with you my 3 key takeaways from this that you should really know if you're looking to build discipline and productivity in your life. My first thing that I want to tell you is that when you're doing this, if you feel like you're not as disciplined as you like to be, you can't get yourself down for this. Now, when I did my first comparison day, looking at what my day was actually like versus what I almost wanted it to be like, it was tough because it was this hard truth that I'm not acting how I want to be acting. So sometimes I would be on social media or watching YouTube for too long. Like, sometimes I had a lunch that would last like an hour and a half before I got back to work. And another day I missed my morning routine, and you can actually see from the notes that I took that it was a much less productive day. But honestly, I couldn't let myself get down about this. I mean, just because I had an occasional bad, unproductive, or like maybe not a successful day or period of time, Doesn't mean that I had to follow the monk's way and start whipping my bare back. I just recognised that I had this speed bump in my day, or in like a certain amount of time. And then what I did when I was creating this document at the end of the day of like the summary, I made a point just to note down what it is that I struggled with that day. And then the next day I was improving on that, because I made a point to focus on bettering myself in that specific area. And it's very similar to if you're on a diet. Let's say you've been doing really well, eating healthily, exercising regularly, but then a Saturday night comes around and you have an Indian, like a nice takeaway, and you have naan breads, you have papadum, you have a big curry, and you can't put yourself down because of this. You've got to look at it over the long-term progress that you've made, because realistically, one unhealthy meal isn't gonna like take away all the progress that you've made so far. You've got to look at the long-term progress that you're making rather than the short-term. And it's the same perspective that I have with discipline. So let's say you're wanting to become rich like 90% of the population is. If you don't have that strong core desire to achieve this accumulation of vast wealth, then over time your discipline in whatever you are doing to achieve that is going to struggle, because you don't have the true emotional motivation to get there. So for me, I have strong emotional desires and faith for why I want to grow my business, not just the financial returns, but there are other personal reasons for doing this. So I know that in the future, my motivation and faith is only going to become stronger. The next lesson that I learned was that I can't just expect to work on my discipline a little bit and then expect it to carry on for the rest of my life. It's like you don't go to the gym for a couple months, start to see some results, and then never go again because you've already got to that stage. You've got to keep doing it. You've got to stay consistent with working on your discipline. It's like having a muscle. You've got to keep working on it. So if I have a few productive days or a few productive weeks, that doesn't mean that I can take my foot off the gas and just be lazy for the future. It's like if you've been eating healthily like all week, you don't want to have like a huge binge at the weekend. I mean, yeah, you want to enjoy yourself, but you don't want to just completely give up and just have fast food or like drink yourself until you pass out. You don't want to do all of that. You want to sustain this progress that you're making and ingrain it into your daily routine. Now, your takeaway from this video shouldn't be that you have to do a really tight schedule if you want to become disciplined in 2021. This was just unique to what I was wanting to achieve. And by writing down or by figuring out what I was doing versus what I wanted to be doing, it made creating my action points or how I could become more disciplined much easier. Because that clarity versus my current situation versus my desired situation meant that finding the steps needed to alter my days to become this more disciplined version of myself was easier. And right now, at the time of filming this, I am day 2, I don't know why I checked my watch. I'm day 2 into my 14-day quarantine because I've just come back from Turkey and have to self-isolate for 2 weeks. So staying disciplined and staying productive is going to be super, super important for me to not only stay healthy, but also stay sane, because structuring my days is something that really keeps them from all merging into one, if you know what I mean. If you like this video on staying disciplined, then please give this video a like and make sure to subscribe, as it's a new channel and I really appreciate your support. In the future, I'm going to be creating more videos on personal development and how to create a life of freedom, which I intend to do in 2021, which I understand is very ironic since I'm currently in 2 weeks of isolation. But feel free to connect with me on Instagram. You can find me at billclark.97 and check out the links below to find out more about me and what I do. But for now, have a great day and I'll see you soon.